Here are the 10 things everyone should know about the 1968 Ford Mustang GT Bullitt. Number 10. The Bullitt car is a first-gen Ford Mustang. Sorting out the Bullitt car is the first and most crucial step in the process. For example, if you type "what car," Google autofill will get "what car was in Bullitt," since this is still topical and people are curious. The 1968 Mustang GT Fastback, powered by a 390 cubic inch V8, was the Bullitt automobile, for those who haven't looked yet. 1967 saw a significant overhaul of the famed pony car, which made it broader, longer, and more adamantly styled, even if it was still a member of the first-generation Mustang. However, most Mustang enthusiasts concurred that the fastbacks from the 1967 makeover were the best models ever made. This is most likely the reason the filmmakers chose it to play Steve McQueen's sidekick in the film. Another noteworthy feature of the Bullitt Mustang GT is that its official Ford color code is dark Highland green, not green as many may think. The die-hard enthusiasts will call out anyone who claims it's a green Mustang. They are posers. Number 9. Only 2 Mustang GTs were used in the film. Since there will usually be destruction in an action movie, including automobile stunts, several or even dozens of vehicles will be bought. Producers in Bullitt took a risk by purchasing just 2 1968 Mustang GT fastbacks, and it paid out. During the filming, only one of the GTs was completely wrecked. The other managed to escape with very minor damage. On set, there were a few incidents that may have turned deadly, but fortunately, everything turned out okay. The suspensions of the 2 1968 Mustang GTs were strengthened to enhance handling and lessen the impact of maneuvering through San Francisco's twisting streets and hills. Other than that, the cars were essentially left stock. To get that magnificent roaring exhaust tone, the Stangs also had their mufflers removed and glass packs installed. The removal of all badges and symbols from the outside of the cars was the only additional change, which may be why so few people are aware of the identity of the automobile that was in Bullitt. Number 8. The Mustang GT almost battled a Ford Galaxy. Bullitt's famous chase sequence, in which Steve McQueen drives the 1968 Mustang GT while being chased by a few thugs in a 1968 Dodge Charger RT, nearly never happened. A couple of 1968 Galaxy full-size hardtops were really loaned to the production by Ford, but practically everything about them was flawed. The crew discovered that the Galaxies were quite slow, since they were unable to pass any air over the hills or keep up with the Mustang. The 268 Charger RTs with 446-pack engines were brought in instead of the Galaxies because director Peter Yates detested the concept of Ford versus Ford mismatch for the chase sequence. This was the first instance of the second-generation Charger being stereotypically portrayed in several films as the antagonist automobile. It's a good thing the Ford Galaxy didn't succeed, since the chase scenario would never have been nearly as amazing if the pursuit vehicle had been a boring, underpowered sedan. Number 7. Bullitt didn't help sell any Mustangs. There used to be a phrase that went something like this: win on Sunday, sell on Monday. This was back when NASCAR was still stock car racing, and drivers utilized real production cars. This meant that supporters would rush to dealers to acquire the exact automobile their idol drove to victory in the Daytona 500, if Richard Petty won in a Plymouth Belvedere. In contrast, the 1968 Mustang GT, which starred Bullitt, had a dramatic decline in sales following the film's debut. But sales of the Mustang began a significant decline in 1968, when they fell short of 150,000 units from the previous year, and this decline persisted for the remainder of the first generation. As the movie's adversary, the Charger, on the other hand, had a significant increase in popularity. While the second-generation Charger was a huge smash when it was released in 1968, the first-generation model was somewhat of a bust. It's possible that this is all coincidental and unrelated to the film, although viewers do have a tendency to favor villains over heroes. Number 6. The Bullitt chase scene is filled with errors. Without a doubt, Bullitt's pursuit sequence is the greatest one to ever be captured on camera. It turned the 1968 Mustang GT into a cinematic celebrity and revolutionized the way automobile chases were portrayed in motion pictures. The film depicts the pursuit, which took 3 weeks to shoot from several perspectives and repeatedly, for around 10 minutes. Then, In a groundbreaking and thrilling montage-style scene, all the footage, including point-of-view pictures from within the car, was combined, which caused some continuity problems. Early in the chase, the Mustang GT and the Charger RT are shown in images with damage that doesn't happen until later. Additionally, there is a phenomenon called the Flintstone effect, in which the identical VW bug repeatedly appears in the distance and causes the background to repeat itself. The Mustang has intermittent dings, while the Charger has hubcaps on certain days and not on others. In reality, there is a lot of minutiae that the majority of people will never notice, but the payoff is a thrilling hunt. Number 5. There is no way a Mustang GT could outrun a Charger RT. With a compound bow or his bare hands, Sylvester Stallone's character in Rambo murders hundreds of Viet Cong troops and Russians in order to follow the script. Moviegoers want to witness their hero take down bad guys, even if this may seem like an implausible scenario in real life. Movies serve as a form of escapism from the ordinary realities of life. According to the script, Steve McQueen's 1968 Mustang GT can outrun a 1968 Dodge Charger RT. Bullitt centers on McQueen's heroic 1988 Mustang GT. Actually, a Mustang GT with a 325 horsepower 390 cubic inch V8 would be easily defeated by the Charger, which has a 375 horsepower 440 cubic inch V8. In actuality, the Charger was always passing the Mustang throughout filming, so the stunt drivers had to gently depress the throttle pedal. Once more, movies are fiction, and only die-hard Mopar fans like this editor give a damn, but there's more to it than that. There is a degree of credibility because Steve McQueen was a real-life racing car driver, and undoubtedly had more talent than the goons pursuing him. Number 4. Ford has honored the Bullitt Mustang several times. Ford has recently released a number of special edition cars in remembrance of the Bullitt Mustang GT. The first was introduced in 2001 and was based on the 4th generation Mustang, which curiously came with paint options of true blue, black, or dark Highland green. This car was terribly underpowered, with just 265 horsepower, on top of having poor color choices. Then came the 5th generation Bullitt homage in 2008, which managed to crank up the ponies even if it still had a stupid black paint job. The Bullitt movie's 50th anniversary was finally marked with the introduction of a 6th generation Mustang homage in 2019. It would have made more sense if the tribute had been available in 2018, which was 50 years after the movie's premiere. The greatest effort to pay homage to the legendary movie automobile was made with this last tribute, which included some really impressive performances. For some reason, Ford nonetheless produced a model with shadow black paint, which was about as logical as launching the vehicle a year after the movie's real 50th anniversary. Number 3. Steve McQueen tried and failed to buy the Bullitt Mustang. Since the studios didn't want its star screaming around the racetrack at speeds over 200 miles per hour, Steve McQueen had to keep his race car driving career a secret. Being a car enthusiast, he would frequently bring home the vehicles from his films to bolster his remarkable collection. The one and only exception was Bullitt, who after filming was over was unable to obtain the 1968 Mustang GT. He ultimately attempted to get the automobile back, but this burdened him because it was a very deadly vehicle. Only one Mustang GT survives out of 2 vehicles featured in the movie. It was first sold to Robert Ross, a Warner Brothers employee, who then gave it to New Jersey detective Frank Maranka. Robert Kiernan purchased the vehicle in 1974 for $6,000, and his family would keep it until 2020. Steve McQueen located the Mustang GT from his film and made an offer to buy it at a high price, but Kiernan turned him down, saying he was in love with the vehicle. Even though McQueen offered to pay cash and acquire a comparable 68 Mustang in return for the Bullitt vehicle, the deal was rejected. Number 2. The Bullitt Mustang GT sold for $3,740,000. The Bullitt Mustang GT's voyage is rather peculiar because it seemed to vanish for an extended period of time. It broke down and ended up in the garage after Robert Kiernan bought it in 1974. It relocated from New Jersey to Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, and finally Nashville, Tennessee. Kiernan and his son began repair work, but the older man passed away tragically in 2014 from Parkinson's disease. Sean Kiernan was motivated by his father's passion for cars to finally restore the vehicle and showcase it to the public at the 2018 Detroit Auto Show. However, despite being abandoned for many years, this car functioned and, more significantly, it was the Mustang GT that Steve McQueen drove in the iconic film Bullitt. When Sean Kiernan offered the Bullitt Mustang for sale at the Mecum Kissimmee 2020, in 2020, it was entirely unrestored and set a record-breaking $3,740,000. This is the largest amount of money ever paid for a Mustang and the highest amount ever paid at the auction for an American muscle vehicle. It's also one of the most lucrative automobile flips ever, since Robert Kiernan only paid $6,000. Number 1. The Bullitt Mustang lives. Probably. Even though the Bullitt Mustang GT is well known, nobody knows where it is right now. The buyer, who intended to stay anonymous, promised seller Sean Kiernan that the car would be retained in original condition, even if it broke the bank at Mecum. The name of the buyer was supposed to be disclosed, but as of 2024, it hasn't. Looking over the internet does not disclose the buyer's identity or the location of the dark Highland Green 68 Mustang. The automobile should be in a museum so that everyone can appreciate it, but there's no reason to believe that it's in danger. What are your thoughts about the list? Let's have your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for staying through till the end. Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to watch our previous videos.